Welcome to a presentation on the development of our instructional project by Group 3. The members of our group are Alala Matsumi, Lynn Campbell, Kristen Johnson, and Paulette White. Our project is citing sources using APA style and format, Module 2, crediting sources with in-text citations. We discussed several topics for our presentation and concluded that a major problem for many university students is producing a good research paper. With that thought, we looked at how this problem might be presented to a team of instructional designers. The result is an overview of undergraduate university students who are required to produce research papers, but the papers produced are of poor quality. An observation of commonly seen errors was included in the problem statement. We move forward from this information into a needs assessment. To narrow the focus of our project, we conducted a needs assessment to determine if the gap between the university requirement for quality research papers and the actual quality of papers produced by students was actually a training problem. Our assessment was conducted through use of surveys and a focus group. As you can see, the survey results showed that a large number of the students had had little practice with or knowledge of writing research papers. This indicated that there was a problem that could be solved through training. A focus group, comprised of both students and faculty, was tasked with proposing solutions to the problem. They came up with two well-supported ideas for training solutions. Although both solutions involve presenting instruction on writing a research paper, developing instruction on the entire process of writing a paper was beyond the scope and time limits of this course. As a result, we decided to focus on providing instruction on how to correctly cite resources used in a research paper. Our audience is the undergraduate population in the Instructional Technology program at a Midwestern university. We chose to direct the training towards undergraduates, the majority of whom would fall into the 18 to 24 year age bracket. Based on the results of the initial survey, many of these students had little or no background with writing research papers or documenting sources of information. As stated earlier, developing instruction on the entire process of writing a research paper was beyond the scope of this course, so we decided to focus on providing instruction on correctly citing sources used in a research paper. Although we had initially planned to develop instruction that would cover both constructing the references page for the paper and correctly making in-text citations, we again found that the time frame would only allow for development of one aspect of citations. We chose to develop a module on in-text citations. This module would be the second part of a lesson on citations. The first module would focus on constructing the references pages. The goal of our e-learning instruction is to teach college students to correctly cite references on the references page of a research paper and within the text of the paper using APA style. Module 1 of the lesson will describe what information needs to be cited and how to organize the sources on the references page. Module 2 will describe how to cite in-text references. On the slide, you can see the learning outcomes and objectives for Module 2. The goal is to have them correctly cite sources used in the text of the document, using correct APA formatting. For the final assessment, they will have to identify correctly cited and formatted sources of information. The plan of instruction was to explain what information used in a research paper needs to be cited and when to cite it, and to provide examples of how to cite sources used. The goal of the module presentation was to keep the information and examples simple and easy to understand. Given that the target audience age group is 18 to 24 and that they are college students, we understood that the amount of time they could spend on this e-learning would be limited. The information is provided in small chunks, along with several checks on learning throughout to ensure comprehension as students move through the module. When they complete the instructional section, they move on to an exercise section to practice what they've learned. A comprehensive assessment is provided at the end of the module. The menu bar for the module contains 5 options: the module, presentation, exercise, assessment, and meet the crew. The module option contains brief information about the module and objectives. It also provides buttons linked to the presentation, exercise, and assessment sections. The presentation includes on-screen instruction along with the narration with additional information. In addition, short learning checks appear at intervals during the instruction. The exercise section allows students to practice what they have learned using both matching and fill-in-the-blank exercises. After reading the instruction, they proceed to answer an 8-item matching exercise and 4 fill-in-the-blank exercises. The grading in the fill-in-the-blank exercise allows for variations of the correct response. For example, to complete the statement, when citing 2 authors, join the names with blank. The possible correct responses include the words an ampersand or ampersand, or the symbol for ampersand. At the end of the exercise, students can view a chart which outlines the questions they answered and their responses. The assessment section contains a bank of 15 multiple choice questions. When the student enters this section, they first read the instructions. They then are presented with 5 random questions from the bank. When they finished, they submit their responses for a grade. They can see their score, the required passing score, and the amount of time they took to complete the evaluation. There is also an option for them to go back and review their answers and to see the correct responses for each question. In both the exercise and assessment sections, students have the option to redo the section if they choose. The Meet the Crew section provides a glimpse of each team member from our initial website assignments in the course. The first step in our process of development was to determine the topic we wanted to address and the scope of that topic. We quickly found that 15 minutes was not enough time to complete instruction on how to write a research paper, and narrowed the scope to using APA formatting to cite sources used in writing a paper. The next step was deciding how to present material based on audience needs as well as available time and resources. We discussed overall ideas, possible software solutions such as Dreamweaver, Wondershare Quiz Creator, Camtasia Studio, MS PowerPoint, and finally, what types of practice and assessment would be most effective. Once those determinations were made, we developed a project schedule. We considered which tasks were dependent on other tasks and how long individual tasks would take to complete. After that, we worked to assign individuals to tasks based on skill, knowledge, and interests. As we developed the project, we found that it was necessary to make some realignments. We again discovered that we did not have enough time to develop instruction for both a source references page and in-text citations. So we chose to develop only a module on in-text citations. In addition, it became necessary to realign the task assignments that we had originally written into the project plan. These realignments will be discussed on the next slides. The last step was to finalize all the information and activities and to incorporate everything into the Dreamweaver program for presentation. As you can see, we initially had clearly defined tasks. For example, writing content and developing interactive pages with content. There were also a number of tasks in our project schedule that were assigned as team tasks. These team tasks dealt mainly with general development. Due to scheduling conflicts, delays, and the decision not to include video content, we found it necessary to realign our assigned tasks. We all moved into areas of our greatest strengths in order to complete the project on time. In more detail, these are steps that we took in the process of developing our instruction. The steps in the process fell into three different areas of activity. In the first area, we defined what we were doing and produced the content for the module. The second area included developing the website, then preparing and embedding all of the materials into the site. In the last area, we finalized all materials, then reviewed and revised them as necessary. Overall, this project was similar to eating a big bowl of Rocky Road ice cream. It was accomplished with a lot of munching and crunching, but the end was sweet and smooth. The next two slides will highlight some of the munches and crunches, as well as the sweet and smooth. The things that we did well in this project all fall under the general heading of collaboration. From the early stages of working on the assignment, we had to work together to come up with a project that we all felt was appropriate and would help us reach the course's objectives. The tasks and assignments that we gave ourselves were meant to move the project forward, as well as give each of us the opportunity to expand our personal knowledge and skills. Despite the difficulties that necessitated realignments and caused delays in our schedule, we continued to communicate through various methods: Skype, Google Docs, emails, and the telephone, and managed to complete the tasks and put everything together into what we feel is a good module of e-learning. Our team certainly experienced Tuckman's stages of team development: forming, storming, norming, and performing. During our forming stage, we were very comfortable with each other. We agreed on goals and began to address what we needed to do in order to complete our project. During the storming stage, we did indeed storm, and at times things were uncomfortable as we worked to adjust to each other. Although Tuckman observed that some teams never come out of this stage, we survived and moved into the norming stage. We kept our sights on the goal of completing the project and reaching the performing stage. The end result is our e-learning module. We are a group of 4 talented individuals with a great deal of varied experience to our credit. Despite this, we sometimes failed in our ability to communicate well with each other, whether through lack of actual physical communication or the manner in which we communicated. Some of this miscommunication could have been precipitated by lack of trust, either in our own abilities and ideas or in the skills and abilities of each other. We did survive the storming stage, though, and moved forward. Another area to consider is following the project schedule. We had built safeguards into the schedule to keep track of decisions made and task completion, along with setting up a monitor for keeping on schedule. Our safeguards fell by the wayside as delays occurred in our development tasks. Rather than review and discuss realignments as a group, at times we made individual or pair decisions that were acted on before we had group consensus. Communication and trust were the probable cause of these occurrences. Because of the direct effect on the overall quality of our instructional product, more time for development of interactive content would be what we would most like to change. Our original discussions and plans included using more of the available technology to produce interactive content, including videos. We hope that you have enjoyed our presentation, and we welcome any comments or questions that you might have. Thank you.